back. Obviously, a lot of people are competing for houses right now, and I know that you are helping people do that, both especially people who are trying to find a place to live. Talk a little bit about the current market and maybe where all this competition is coming from and what it's causing people to do.
Well, it's getting crazy again. Inventories are down. Everybody knows it. I mean, King County, we're down 45% from where we were a year ago. And as far as months of inventory, if we're at 6 months, it would be great. We're in an even playing field. But, a lot of the neighborhoods now are like at 1.2 months. So that's why the sellers, happy sellers, I mean, they're riding the wave and they're setting their terms. But for the buyers, it's frustrating. There's just not a lot of inventory, so they are competing. I mean, the short sales are out there, but that even, that's about a fourth of our inventory, but a lot of the buyers are even avoiding that. So you figure that even makes the market even tighter. Mm-hmm. So, in the nice Seattle neighborhoods now, it's common 10, 12, 15 offers on a house.
10 to 12 to 15 offers, and that's, common. So that is just the fact that there's not enough houses for sale.
It's all about the inventory. I mean, if I was a seller right now, I'd wake up and go, I was thinking about maybe waiting a year. Well, I think you might want to look now.
Right.
You're probably going to make a good chunk of change.
And simply the competition will be heating up. And if you need a place to go, that house is probably raising in value as well.
Well, yeah, some people say that. But then what if you sell now, make good money, rent a year? Because, eventually the market's going to even out. It's not going to be this low inventory forever. There will be more sellers entering the market. So, and some are saying 2014, it should kind of even out. So, if I was thinking of selling a year, I might think now.
Yeah.
And then wait.
And then, but isn't that something that it becomes a problem, though, is you need a place to go?
To live?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's apartments.
Yeah. Is it the little ones?
Yeah, shared kitchen.
Sounds awesome. My 2-year-old would love that.
Yeah. There's places you can rent, but in the same sense, too, you could be buying up. But yeah, you would be in competitive market. But if you just sold your house, you might have a nice chunk of change so you can compete.
Yeah.
The hard thing for a lot of buyers now is with the financing. I'll be honest, if an all-cash buyer comes in, you're going to lose. And we're seeing that a lot, especially under $600,000. All-cash buyers, that is common. I was in a multiple that had 4 cash buyers in the mix.
Wow.
So that kind of limited everyone. They talked to the 4 cash.
Sure. So, you talk about competing for these houses. Cash is certainly something people are doing. What other tough choices are buyers having to make? Because 10 to 12 to 15 offers.
Right. You have to make yourself stand out.
Yeah, you better put that on some gold sparkly paper or something with the contract or something.
I'll be honest. If you don't do pre-inspections to waive your inspections beforehand, you're probably not going to have a chance because that's the first cut. And what I'm actually starting to see now to make their offers go even better, because, everybody's escalating up in prices. So they'll look, of course, at the ones at the best price. But they're going to start looking at, who's got the best financing, who's putting the most money down. But some of these buyers now, I've seen it happen in 3 multiples just the last week. They're starting to waive their 22A financing, which is... I haven't seen that. When we had the last wave in 05, 06, we didn't see that. That wasn't really happening.
You always knew you could get financing.
Well, you knew when you knew
so
it
many
would
loan
appraise.
Programs like, if we can't get it here, we'll go get a loan here.
Exactly.
It's a lot tighter.
You knew it would appraise too back then.
Yeah, because you could call the appraiser.
Right. I didn't. Maybe you did.
I never would have done that. That wasn't common practice or anything.
Okay. But yeah, I had this talk just yesterday with a couple, and I said we lost because the buyer who got it waived 22A, and I explained it's very risky for a buyer if you are doing financing, because you are giving up the protection. If you cannot fund, you will lose your earnest money. And you're also, in that you're guaranteeing to the seller that if it doesn't appraise at the purchase price you've escalated up to now, that you are going to bring in that extra cash needed above what your lender's willing to loan on. Mm-hmm. So you've got to have resources if you're going to be waiving that, because that's what you're looking at. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very risky. So I'm kind of surprised seeing it start to happen, and I'm hoping it's not going to become commonplace. But it's something we're having to deal with.
Well, people have to, I guess, take a little bit more risk to potentially get the house, but then you have to be able to shore up that risk.
Right.
You have to have the money to do it.
Right, exactly. I mean, and there's a lot of buyers out there now that do. I mean, Seattle has a lot of employment's good. People are willing to buy now, and they're willing to step in. So,
is this competition on every style of house?
It's going across the boards from co-ops, condos to houses. It's all, I mean, it's in the city, in, inner Bellevue neighborhoods, inner Seattle neighborhoods, everybody's jumping. Co-ops, you couldn't even hardly get a buyer a year ago because one lender, always higher interest rate. I mean, I've had 2 co-ops that I've gone up against recently. Both went way overpriced, 15 offers on one, 12 on the other.
And on a co-op, and I mean, I remember people go, well, I found this co-op. I know there's a few. There's not a lot of them. There's a few down Lower Queen Anne, kind of like around the Key Arena or whatnot. Yeah. And I remember, you'd go, oh yeah, we got this. It's a 2-bedroom for like $100,000.
Right.
And because there was just so little competition, I imagine if you're getting 10 to 15 offers on these now, I mean, that's even bringing up the prices of those substantially.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the first one closed here because it went all cash. That one went like $40,000 over asking. And, co-op buyers are not, they're usually first timers, and co-ops usually are under $200,000 or just a little over $200,000. Mm-hmm. They're historically they're going to be less than a condo. So it's hitting them from the very low price point on up. And it's and when you're a first time buyer and you are financed and you can't go above, let's say, 225, and you find that co-op at 225 and it's everything you want, it's really hard to kind of have to tell them you probably aren't going to get it because I've talked to the agent and they've already have 3 pre-inspections.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of separate properties from maybe that even fit into the financial mold.
Right.
Eric Robison joins us. Eric, are there other property examples that you have or of where you get all of these offers, and how high are things going over asking? And
well, one recently in Wedgwood, nice house, remodeled, but it had some issues. Had a broken sewer line. I mean, it needed a major sewer line repair. People were taking it on. Honestly, I can't remember how many offers. It was, I think, 10 on that one. But it went $80,000 over asking, and they're taking on having to rip up and put in a whole new sewer. So, yeah, buyers are willing to take it on now. And so that's why I'm saying if you're a seller and you got a house that's got some issues,
yeah,
you might want to sell it now because you're not going to have to deal with it.
What was it? It was probably just 6 months ago we were talking about every buyer needed a turnkey home.
And they still want it, and that's why they're jumping on them. But they're finding that some of these turnkey, when they do the pre-inspections, there are some issues with the house, but it's still remodeled kitchen, baths. I mean, if you're the right house that's all fixed up, looks beautiful, they're jumping.
And what if it's not perfectly beautiful?
Your investors might look at you. But, you got to go on the right price point. And, yes, some agents and sellers are pricing even a little below just to get
the competition going. Is there a good, from I guess somebody who's looking to buy a house or sell a house, is there a good, financial play that you're advising people?
Well, I talk to them about 22A now. And I say, here's the risk, but here's, your options, because this is suddenly becoming something you need to think about. So if they want to go for it, great, but, I'm not going to pressure them.
Sure.
Because when they say no, I say, well, then it's no. We'll just keep going and we'll eventually get that house. But it's something that we're having to face now in the current market. But, some people can say they might wait, but, if you wait to say let the inventories get back, let's say 2014, you're probably looking at higher interest rate.
For sure. We've already seen them creep up.
And prices definitely will be higher because they are going up. So, and that's what's feeding it now, too, is because the buyers know this. They're realizing, like they say, when you do jump in, you probably should have jumped in 6 months ago. Because by the time the news is all saying it,
I think
we
said
did.
that.
Actually, we did talk about that.
We did. I think we talked about 6 months ago. We talked about a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now everybody's like saying, let's jump.
Yeah. And when everybody is jumping, a pool is only so big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can only fit so many in that hot
So
tub.
many until the water overflows, and
Yeah.
if
You shouldn't drink beer when you're in that hot tub
you
either.
shouldn't. I heard that.
Uh-huh.
Or go in if you're pregnant. Which
Well, yeah, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either, and I'll have to keep my wife out at least for a few more days.